Quilty Quilters, I'm Candace Murray, quilt pattern and textile designer. In this video, I want to show you how to put together your living donor quilt. First things first, you want to cut your panels from your fabric, 30.5 inches by 60.5 inches. These are going to be the panels that you applique your kidneys to. And after you get your panels cut out, put a note on them so you don't use them while piecing your kidneys and mess up your fabric, because then you'll have to buy double fabric. And I may or may not know somebody who actually had to do that. Step number 2, you need to cut out your whole pattern on the dashed black lines. Now that is your seam allowance line. I choose not to cut my pattern on the dashed black line. I cut all the way down to the actual pattern line, as you can see here. This is going to help me applique my pieces. Now, it's up to you whether or not you leave the seam allowance on there. I just find it easier to piece later, and I'm not having to cut off seam allowances. For step 3, we are going to tape together pieces EL11 and JR11. You can see this is what I would call the ureter, but if you're making this as like flowers, then this would be your stem. You will also want to cut your fabric for this section out now. That way you don't have to worry about piecing together fabric after you've pieced together your kidneys. In section 4, pieces A, B, F, and G are not pieced, so we can go ahead and cut those out of fabric now. Here's my piece, section AL1. Now I'm going to tape this using double-sided tape to the fabric that I have picked for this portion. You can see here on my color key, this is the pink, red, black, and white, and I tape little swatches of fabric to keep my place as I'm piecing. That way I don't get anything confused. So we turn section AL1 over to the back, and using double-sided tape, I kind of go around this piece pretty liberally. I do not use name brand double-sided tape. It doesn't hold very well. I use a generic big box brand of non-permanent double-sided tape. Boop. Okay, you can see there I have tape all around my piece. Maybe that reflects. Now we're going to take our piece and put it in our fabric. Now since I've already cut out my seam allowance, I need to make sure that I leave 1/4 inch on either side. If you were using a printed fabric for this section, this would be the back side of the fabric and this would be the front side of the fabric. And for the sake of the video, I already did this piece. Boom, boom. Isn't that like magic? For steps 5 and 6, I actually have another video about paper piecing for beginners. You can check that video out on my channel. So I'm going to skip ahead to the piecing list. Okay, now we're going to skip down to section 5. Assembling the left kidney, and I'm going to do step 1. So this is AL1 and this is BL2. Now we are going to applique BL2 to AL1 because this curve is an outside curve. So we are not going to put darts in this fabric. We are not going to fold this fabric over. This is going to be the base fabric that we're going to glue base to. So what I have done is cut darts in the inside curve of this piece. So we are going to iron this over and create a seam. And this piece is what we are going to glue based to the front of this piece. Okay, I already have my darts cut, but I'm going to iron this over for you. And we're back with our piece, section BL2. Our 1/4 inch seam allowance is ironed over. Now we're going to glue baste this piece to our section AL1. So here I have just some regular school glue that I've put into an applicator with a fine tip nose. And I'm just going to do just a little bitty dot of glue all the way around section BL2. For time's sake, I am just doing a small little stream. I would usually do dots for this that look kind of like this. But ain't nobody got time to watch me do all that. Boom, boom. Put our glue up. Now, see, I've got top written right here on the pattern and top here. That's our top. I'm going to lay this down, lining up the checks as best I can. I'm going to do the top and there are my bottom checks. There we go. Make sure my side one is lined up. Pull it out just a little bit. It's a little overlapping. You can kind of follow the paper seam to help glue this down into place. My dogs have decided to come in. I guess you can hear the little clickety-clack of their toenails. My little sweet babies. Okay, now we do not have to wait for this glue to dry. I'm going to take this over to the iron, and the iron evaporates the water and makes the glue stick within just a few seconds. Now let's turn it over and check. Yep. I am glue basted. Yes, Abby. Yeah, I hear you. Okay, now we're going to sew this piece down. How are we going to do this? Okay. It is always easier to piece on the outside of a curve than on the inside of the curve. So I am going to sew with this up like that on this seam, not the other way around. But to do that, I'm going to remove my paper template. And it's very important to take, well, while you're taking this off, not to rip this paper, because we are going to put this piece of paper back to use as a guide when sewing on sections C. All right, so there we have our little piece that we need to save. I'm going to put this right side down so my tape doesn't lose its stickiness. And we are going to sew, just starting at one part and going all the way around to the other. I'm using a zipper foot for this, and if you look, there is a crease that's created when we ironed our seam allowance over right here. That is the line that we are going to sew on right there. Okay. And here we have our sections A and B. So I'm going to take this over to the iron and press this open. And boom, boom, look how awesome this is. Yay! Now we are going to put back our little paper piece. This will help us add our section C. Turn it over, make sure we put top on top, line up our little points, and we're going to tuck it in behind this seam allowance. All right. And there we have it. Our piece is back in and ready to add section C. See that? Now we're going to add section C exactly the same way that we did B to A. All right, now after we have our whole kidney piece together, I'm going to show you how to use this little template. So you can see how I've included this big template in your kit. This is an ironing template. So after you get your kidney all pieced together, you're going to take this onto the back of that kidney and then iron your seam allowance over. Kind of the same way we did with this little piece B. And after you get your kidney seam allowance ironed over, I have another video that shows you how to applique it to your background. So I'm gonna have that one autoplay right after this video. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, happy sewing.